In other words, what you basically, in other words, what do you say what I'm saying?
Oh, you're talking about U.S. Congress?
U.S.
We
Congress,
don't
the U.S.
create our districts for the House and Senate.
Well, but all of them, I know, just what you say what I'm saying in terms in general about what's happening here in the state and the other states, and why it's been requested to redistrict the state, those states. So it's basically congressional representation.
Yes.
Right? So the trick is, if the Republicans already have a majority in the House, why are we jumping through these hoops? Unless you're concerned you're going to lose it, and it's because I'm not happy right now. You follow what I'm saying? This one that knows you're no longer representing me. You're basically representing the party. And then it gets back to my whole comment about my team, your team. I don't care about the teams. I care about the issues. But what I really am concerned about is performative democracy, because it's a lie. And I'm losing the democratic institutions in my country. You follow me?
Can I respond?
I understand. And to me, it's not about this team, that team. It's about the values of my district. I understand everyone in this room does not agree with those values, but I ran against a Democrat with about 76% of the vote. It is over. I am representing the majority of the values. And I understand, like every vote, I can't represent the value of every person. We have so much diversity of opinion in our society, even in this district that is considered very red, historically has always voted very Republican. I can't vote for the values for every single person. But the majority, the vast majority, we are one of the reddest districts in the state. I vote in favor, and I vote alongside and in support of the values of the people that put me in here.
And the point I'm making to you is, I don't vote party, I vote issues.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing right now is, I'm losing that vote. I'm losing the ability to vote the issues. Because it's my team, your team. In a very polarized political environment. And what happened right now is, Kehoe was directed, as was Adams, to find more legislators because of concern about losing the congressional seats. Honestly.
You don't think that's happened before with Democrat presidents?
Huh?
You don't think that's happened before with Democrat presidents?
No, they certainly didn't knock down
I
the East
mean,
Wing.
where we are. Have you seen Illinois? Other districts we've drawn? I mean,
Just because
well,
somebody
yes,
else
you do.
doesn't mean.
If the values of your constituents are being canceled out, I absolutely will.
But you're in a
Do they
formative democracy.
start in the
I've
middle
seen countries that have done that.
I didn't write the rules of the game,
Redistricting.
but I'm not going to get run over by them either.
What I'm saying,
It's just a country,
I know what happens when people lose representation. And I see us going that direction.
I could get into a screaming match. Do we need to get into another one? Because that's hard.
And that's generally what I do. If you look at the bills that I passed out of the Senate, I think 90% of them have been with bipartisan support. But I file things, like I work with colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I always seek to try to find opinions and try to understand opinions of people that I disagree with. It doesn't mean that we're gonna end up agreeing. But I am better, I am wiser for understanding your perspective, but still, my opinion is what.
When you do it midway, when you make that change real quick, you affect an election, which is what's happening. I mean, I can understand, okay, things might change on that census side, right? When you actually intentionally change it midway because of fear of losing congressional seats at that point in time, what you're saying is you're doing a formative democracy.
What I'll say is, I think, I agree with you in one sense. I think the Republicans have made some tremendous mistakes when it comes to redistricting. But different perspective. They've allowed the blue states to do this for years. For years, uncontested. No, but not nearly to the extent. Yeah, that's one state. Go by state and look how the maps are drawn, look how they vote.
What?
And then come back and tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, is Florida, what state is it?
It's red.
It's red. It gerrymanders.
Yeah,
I know that, I was there.
yeah.
So you say it's only.
Have you looked at Maine? Have you looked at Illinois?
Demographic, population size. Who's got a larger population, Florida or Maine?
Well, Florida,
Who
obviously.
has a larger representation in Congress, Florida or Maine?
What about Florida or California?
California voted though.
I mean, we
California
can go back
let
and
their
forth all
people
day.
Yes.
I mean,
But you talk about, but you know the representation. When you compare apples to oranges. And what I'm saying is, if all do, you say, oh, the Democrats say, they put Florida. It's a genius.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I sincerely do. I'm glad that you're here, and I appreciate your perspective. And
I'm glad you're here.
I hope
But
that
listen, not just hearing.
I'm listening to you. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to change my mind, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Requires critical thought, critical, honest thought.
I agree with that. I don't like where we are right now, where every state has been doing this for some time. I do not like that at all. But it's the reality of where we are.
So you say
If they don't do it
that is.
in the middle of the decade.
Well, when Democrats are canceling out Missouri representation.
Who has a larger population? Who has more seats in?
I mean, you want me to pull up the stats? We go state for state and want to see how much more gerrymandering? You're not going to win that fight, bud. Like, that's not even going to be close. I got to move on though. And I appreciate it.
We spent a lot of time on this issue.
I first want to thank you for coming and standing up there by yourself.
Yeah.
Because
It's
in all
hard.
honesty, a lot of legislators in Jeff and in Washington won't do that. So I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you for showing up.
But I am worried. Governor Keogh said he wants to eliminate income tax, and I should have done this earlier. But just recently, the state of Missouri has spent down huge billions of dollars that came in with COVID and infrastructure. And our reserve it's sunk quite a bit in the last couple of years. What do we have in reserve? It's a third of what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, we had several $1 billion in reserve.
Okay, with that going on, and those extra monies not coming from Washington, and then the elimination of funding coming from Washington because of what's going on with the Big Beautiful Bill and all that, I'm concerned that those lapses of funding, and I have a grandson who needs special education. And I'm concerned that those monies aren't going to be coming down. The other item is that if we transition from income tax to sales tax, my wife and I are going to come out way ahead, but that my grandson and his family are going to get hit extra hard. So it would seem to me, and I was on Ways and Means, I was the ranking Republican on the Ways and Means Committee for 10 years.
Oh, House or Senate? House or Senate?
House.
Okay.
I was also ranking budget for almost 10 years. But with the insecurity of funding as it is now standing, and sales tax is a lot more rubber than income tax, so we've got a lot of variations that you don't have with income tax. I would hope, and I do appreciate your version of transitioning into it and not walking it off. And that just is illogical.
It's got to be funded responsibly. There's got to be reserve funds for.
That's totally illogical. So the transition is good, but I'm concerned that doing it this year especially, and even next year, is a really, really tenuous time to be making those kinds of major discussions.
thank you for that, and it's great to get feedback from somebody that has as much experience as you do. Yeah, I agree 100%. Like we do have to be very delicate. It's got to be, I think that there are people that are eager, they want to see something right now, but I don't think that's the responsible path. I think that it needs to be dependent. That's why I was saying it needs to be dependent. We need to see the growth. We need to see the revenue before we start decreasing it. Because we can't end up in a situation where federal funding for certain things are up in the air. A big part of our budget, the Medicaid expansion added a lot. The federal match, that disappears. Like we're in a pretty tough situation. So all that has to be accounted for. And so Governor Kehoe needs to come out and, I'm sure he's going to provide more details on exactly what this plan looks like. I've pretty much said that all I can say right now without, kind of getting ahead of things. But I do know that he has a lot of people that have a lot of experience in this field on it. And like I actually, when the whole plan is rolled out, like you particularly with your experience, I would be very curious to hear your perspective and any feedback you gave. I would certainly bring to the table. And you got one of my cards, right? Okay, yeah, get a hold of me. Brandon, you know this gentleman, right? Alright. I'll make sure he has my personal cell phone too. And yeah, I would love to get your thoughts. Any thoughts you might have on how you think it could be improved. This is a situation where I feel like I'm probably going to take a little bit of a step back this year because it's one of those situations there are so many cooks in the kitchen, and I'm not going to be the lead carrier on a bill when I feel like I'm not the one calling the shots. If I have my name on something, I want input, and there are just so many people involved in this that I don't know that I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to feel comfortable enough to do that. I can't just be a symbolic sponsor. Like if I'm going to sponsor something, put my name behind it, I have to be able to fully believe in the product. I'm not saying that I don't. I do have faith that they're going to navigate this in a very careful way and have a good product that's going to benefit our state. But I am a little worried about how much personal input I'd have versus other people, which would be my concern. But that being said, most tax bills do come through my committee, so I will have the opportunity to at least have a seat at the table, make sure I do have some influence. And if I do get feedback about ways it can be improved or any cautions or red flags that you would raise, I would certainly love the opportunity to hear those and raise those to the people that are running the bill. So thank you. Brandon?
I talked to you a while back ago about the gray area gambling, remember? I'm seeing more and more of them. I personally don't think they belong in family places or even gas stations. But I just want to say, there's nothing in state statute that puts restrictions that you have to be 21 to be on it. There's nothing in state statute that a city can legally put an ordinance on. So, you think somewhere in the near future, because from what I hear, the city of Springfield tried to ban them, and they got sued by, some of the most powerful lobbyists, what have you. Is there you think in the near future there's going to be any way to put restrictions on these things, at least to where kids can't play? Because I personally got nephews, they look at that as a game. They don't look at it as, hey, I'm doing gambling that could impact my future. So, can you just do some feedback on that and tell me what you think?
No, not at all. And that's why they refer to them as gray machines, because they kind of operate in between the law. Some people claim they are illegal, but it's a gray area. It's gray machines. There's been cases to where they've been ruled illegal and literally publicly destroyed, kind of like in the manner of like a public execution. And there's been other cases where the companies have sued. And so we have this inconsistency in areas. And in my neck of the woods, other than Washington, there's actually a couple places that popped up that like literally trying to open a business, and that's all they have. Like, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And I understand, like, you know, during the pandemic and things like that, when people were really suffering, you know, people didn't know, like, the legal status of these machines. Like, I think it's a very murky area of law. And some people kind of built this into their revenue stream and became dependent on that. So I kind of feel for those people. But I do think that there needs to be some level of regulation. You know, like you said, like if the state's not taxing them, and if there aren't regulations, I think the state of Illinois, like they have to have a separate room. I think they have to have like some kind of curtain. There's got to be a camera on them at all times. So like there are models in other states, and I know people have come from those other states bringing these ideas, put them into bills that have been brought before the General Assembly, and I do think that something's going to get done. It's just a matter of when. As you know, you've been just looking at the legislature, thousands of bills get filed. You know, a lot of times, like a bill that can be very good, it dies simply because, you know, things run out of time. And I do think that's something that's going to happen now. I do. What exactly it's going to look like, I don't know. But we can't have kids playing gambling games. I mean, that's ridiculous. And if you told me exactly like where you saw that occurring, I would like to know that information and look into that myself personally, actually.
Gas stations in Missouri.
4-year-old granddaughter wanted to put a quarter machine at the restaurant out there. The one that pushes the money off the end.
Do they actually get the money in return, or is it about like tickets?
No, the machines that you drop quarters in, try to push money off the ledge.
Yeah, but like there's a local,
She uses it as a game, not gambling.
but like actual the quarters come out the bottom. You're saying, okay. I just wanted to clarify. There's this place called the Alley in Washington. I always take my 9-year-old to, and he likes this little like he had one of the quarter games like, but you don't get the money like it's just like credits. You swipe your card like any other game, and then you get like you push quarters off and get tickets. So it's not like just like any other game. But yeah, like no child should be able to put risk money for money. I think that's obviously very wrong, and that's something anywhere that's occurring that needs to be addressed, needs to be investigated. And any specific examples of that occurring, like please, like email my office or contact me directly. Let me know, and be happy to look into those and see if we can get some local action.
They put right by the front door where the first thing the kids see.
Where was this at?
There's a local restaurant here.
Okay.
You know, they put them right by the front door where the kids, first thing they see when they walk into the machine.
No, I mean I think people need to have some personal responsibility also. If you're gonna have a machine like that, like that's wrong. It's like you shouldn't be allowing that to happen. So that's if you send me like a name of the restaurant, the city, I'll look into it and see if we can get some change there. In the meantime, while we're waiting for a more larger, broader legislative package that would introduce regulations that would prevent that from occurring.
Businesses don't these machines.
No, they don't personally own them, but still, like they should be responsible if there's one just sitting by the door and the child's coming and putting money in. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like there has to be personal responsibility there. Alright, gentlemen.
First, I want to say thank you for coming out. We really do appreciate what you have. My wife and I followed you for a long time since you. And I also want to say thank you for all the work you've done for veterans.